Yeah, because let's be totally real, the early days of AoE Force Competitive Sphere was overinflated with money in an unsustainable way. But I'm glad we're kind of getting to reset to logical standards in an environment where we can start to build it up to something beautiful. Boys, gals, and non-binary pals, enough of my nice little podcast about esports and the sustainability and what content creators should be doing. Let's get to the action. We are hopping into Rocky River for a hoedown between Numidan in the teal, playing as Jeanne D'Arc, and up against him, another familiar face. It is going to be Team Liquid, Dumu, playing as Order the Dragon in the purple. Order the Dragon on a water hybrid map. Jeanne D'Arc on a water hybrid map. Kind of curious, actually, because neither of these would be seen as maybe the biggest priority here, right? Like, usually, I think Jeanne D'Arc, if you pick it on this type of map, is to try and punish someone's own greed. Typically, at the moment, when you look at Rocky River specifically, we're seeing a lot of Japanese picks. We're seeing some Abbasid picks. Ayyubid can work here. Ruse sometimes to counter out the idea of Japanese. I also think there's a decent amount of popularity around Mongols because the map feels quite open and they can punish those early dock players. But these two civs, I'd say they are in the lower half of the pack in terms of pick rate. We occasionally see some Jeanne, but like I said, it's more based on a counteraction. Something I don't think I've seen at all yet on Rocky River is Order of the Dragon. This might actually be the first time I've got to cast this civ on this map. It's a fun idea, though. This early Rax opening to spear play can be pretty strong, but it seems like Dumu's not a fan of that one. The build I'm talking about at the moment is very popular because they did buff the starting eco, the Order of the Dragon, to have an extra 50 wood, and a lot of players start to immediately invest that into Rax play to get initial spam and harass. But Dumu says, I don't want to do that, not against Jeanne D'Arc. It's very difficult to block out a play, even though Spearman might be good against Knights as a follow-up. If Jeanne's out there, she's not really going to care. She'll keep gathering gold until she gets what she needs. So, understandably, just stays at home, stays greedy himself. Numidan already on the way with the tech up. School of Cavalry only being built up by Jeanne, so that's going to give him level 2 on Jeanne the moment he cracks into Feudal Age. On the other side, Dumu, wonder if this could be an Arkun Chapel game. Maybe between the gold and the stone, if this is going to be some sort of 2 TC play, but I'm not expecting that. The problem is usually, like, if you want to go Arkun here, it just feels bad to have dropped the mill, right? So, whenever I see people do a mill opening with Order of the Dragon, I tend to lean towards them being a believer in the mine work, which is understandable. For those that are big HRE fans and wondering why you'd ever want anything but Arkun, it's different for the Dragon Villagers here. The Dragon Villagers already have a 25% increased gathering rate. They only get an extra 10% from the Arkun, so not an exactly impressive landmark. I think there will be some maps where Arkun's a bit too good to pass up. Those will be ones where your gold, your stone, maybe your woodline will touch each other. So something like Mountain Clearing comes to mind. Maybe Arkun could work there, but for most kind of vanilla style maps when it comes to resource spawns where they spawn circular to you to a certain extent, I think Minework is just going to win out. And also, I've seen a lot of players experimenting with the idea of Golden Cuirass and actually finding some decent success with it. So Golden Cuirass is definitely something that's on the rise. Whether it's going to maintain its popularity is something I'm not convinced of. I think it's very situational. I've noticed a lot of people with the Men-at-Arms Flood right now have discovered that you just end up playing this kind of Burgrave effect at an early phase in the game, and it's usually not as easy to end as it is with that Burgrave timing. This was very popular at first, though. Moving on with the Outpost on the Stone Outcropping, looks like we're going to be getting a second TC out of the Order of the Dragon. When this Civ was first released, I think this was the most standard build experimented with. And the feeling by a lot of players was that it just didn't work. They couldn't reconcile it. It didn't feel as impactful as, say, an HRE second TC. Curious to see what Dumu can make happen with it, though. I think if anyone's been really on the forefront of these TC timings and finding these exploitive builds around it for efficiency, it has to be Dumu. One of the most consistent second TCers with the new civs, like notably the Byzantines, the Japanese as well. He had some really cool builds. The Japanese, he had the build where you gathered gold, or rather gathered stone, until you had enough for a TC and enough for your tech up. Then also for the Daimyo. And then with the Byzantines, it was all about using the straggler trees in conjunction with the extra stone to immediately get a second TC the moment you tech up. So he's been very good at finding these optimal town center focus builds, which means the pressure is going to be on Numidan to aggress. Jeanne D'Arc on the move. He did just scout out that she's on the stone, but the problem is this outpost emplacement here with the arrow slits, very difficult to dive, even for Jeanne D'Arc. I mean, you can get whittled away at pretty fast. And this does look like this could be a second TC dropped on the gold vein right here. Might be he was trying to secure some more food, which means we have to go far north side. If he chooses to go far north side for this TC drop, he's going to get killed, right? Because like Jeanne will mirror you out. She'll block it out. It's the most high-value location on the map right now. So it might just be better to secure your starting wood line, as well as the potential to get gold for a tech up. That being said, if he wants that gold, Dimu has already walled himself over here. Oh, wait. Uh-oh. He's like, yes, I want to build the gate so I can get through and die. Jeanne is on the way. So it looks like Numidan isn't going to find his value there. He might be able to body block off this one villager. Instead, he just starts torching down the mining camp. I believe. Maybe the TC is going to be even tighter than I was thinking originally, actually. Could this be a TC placement on the gold? Or maybe on the wood line? Looks like he's a little bit shy on the wood right now. We'll find out in a second. He did overgather, by the way. He went up to 500 stones. So that doesn't mean he has enough to get some fortification arrow slits if he wants on a few outposts, which gives you a bit more flexy towards the fast gold, fast castle build. For Numidan, I'm wondering what his play is going to be. It looks like it's going to be multi-TC on both sides of the river here. So makes a lot of sense, right? When you see your opponent does this, you can mirror the move, and in this position, he doesn't even know you're doing it necessarily. It also means you can get a more advantageous TC. For example, he could walk out and drop it on the ball. If this is the build that I'm thinking it is, it's a really cool build from Numidan. Oh my god, Jesus. I don't remember the last time I saw HRE or Order of the Dragon do that, but I know the last time I saw Dimu do this was an hour ago, so I guess it doesn't surprise me that much. A very big fan of the condensed double TC. However, this is not StarCraft 2 Terran lands. You can't pick them up and move them away. But now what I'm thinking we're going to see, Numidan... Oh, wow. No, he's not going to do it. I'm a little bit surprised by this. I thought Numidan would try to move Jeanne back towards the boar, kill the boar, and while killing the boar, build the TC. Because the cool thing you can do with that build that makes it super efficient is Jeanne has this aura that makes nearby villages build faster. So a really efficient play is to time your second TC with Jeanne's arrival at the boar to kill for XP, and it gets you a 2-for-1 special. Instead, I think he's maybe looking for the 2-for-1 special elsewhere. Numidan has a lot of wood. We might be looking at 2 TC and fishing, which normally would be insanely greedy, but in a game like this, it's fair game, considering that Dimu has already decided to open up with double TC Order of the Dragon. Oh, wow. No, it's not going to be that. It's going to be an outpost play, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Now, this is interesting, actually, because if he builds another knight and parks it here, that's no gold access for Order of the Dragon. That's a pretty crafty read there by Numidan. I wasn't expecting this. And the cool thing is he can still go back for the dock drops afterwards, and it'll be worthwhile. The step one is at least denying equity, so Dimu, a very frustrating situation. Already having to farm transition. We didn't check how many sheep he got at the start of the game, but doesn't look like it's got many left. This is usually one of the big conundrums with this civ. Is similar to HRE, they tend to gather through all their sheep a lot faster. I am wondering if the future of the Order of the Dragon is similar to the HRE, and what I mean by that is this double scout opening to get 2/3 of the sheep on the map. In fairness, Order of the Dragon should be able to play pocket ecos easier. It's just you can't in this matchup. The Jeanne D'Arc factor, the Knights, they just kill you way too quickly. I mean, Jeanne, with this type of cleave damage, right, it's only 20, but you only have 65 HP, and if she catches a cluster of you, it's almost like she caught double the villagers. Scout is going to see the plan to the boar here. It might be something that Dimu could look to rush out and punish with a spear, right? Numidan doesn't have much in the way of military. In fact, it's starting to feel a little bit like you might start scaling towards Castle Age, which would be quite the crafty read. Honestly, this matchup is like 10 times more annoying for Order of the Dragon than French. If this was French, you would have just blocked this play with the spearman and that's it. But Jeanne changes everything, man. You just can't play out with 1 or 2 spears. It feels like you need 3 or 4. If you have 3 or 4, realistically, you want 5. Because if you have 5, you can potentially pinch Jeanne if she's not looking, so she can't move. And you have enough health to then stand there and kill her off, especially the damage is high enough, right? 12 against this 3 melee armor. That might be a big ask. Archer's now being built into. Villagers are going to get caught in the mid-map, but should be able to run this one off. And Undermesh already being prepped by Dimu, so smart cookie. He's reading this ahead of time. Cleaver's going to come in. 1 villager going down here. Actually made that 2 until it gets the double cleave. You know, other side of this, Numidan is going to be chased away, but content with the damage he done with that outpost play. Didn't have to lose villagers for it. Didn't get the second outpost up, mind you. But the fact that he's now seeing a lot of spears from Dimmu suggests it wasn't a priority because his opponent was always going to play longer in this age. And good little snipe out here. Minimize the casualties onto the knights. Gets 16 XP in the process. Now the spearmen are going to reach into the ball. And one villager should realistically go down, you'd think. But looks like he is going to get away with it. And now also the Night Charge coming in and brace just in time. Bit of a throwaway of one of the Knights, but the Archers should be able to give chase now. Meanwhile, mid-map, looks like the Scout was also taken out. So Dimmu playing a fairly blind game now, but he does at least have the outposts up, does have gold access. That second outpost not going up was a key detail here. So good denial there by Dimmu. Now we see that age up we were talking about. Guildhall on the way. Builds it in the corner as well, far away from danger. This is also efficient, by the way, using your second TC to build this tech up. This corner has deer, but not much beyond that. If you use villagers over here, there's a lot more resources they could be exploiting. So I quite like that he prioritized it in the corner. It's also just less likely to get scouted now, especially with the scout going down, rather, to the play by Jeanne in the center. Meanwhile, Spearman just being thrown away. Just so expensive as well. 160 resources for these Knights, and Jeanne charging in the meantime. It's going to force some idle time here. Another villager going down. Now, of course, it is 2 TC versus 2, but remember, there's going to be a scaling lead here. Although those villagers are going to be more efficient, the thing you always have to keep in mind is when both sides are idling out, if you're idling out the same number of villagers, it's always going to be better for Numidan, right? Because he's idling out more efficient villagers. I'm just getting a bit outnumbered here, though. I think Numidan may have been a bit too gluttonous with his positioning in this map. He's starting to feel the pain. Maybe wasn't expecting this many spearmen out of Dimmu. I'm wondering if Numidan's plan is to rush a monastery here, actually. I was hoping maybe there weren't going to be as many spears and he could just try to take the relics away. Instead, it looks like he's going to be adding in more archery ranges. Dimmu now will have to back off and look for his own tech up. We should be looking at Regnit's play here. Spawn is decent for relic gathering here. I think there's 3 relics that are fairly feasible to grab, especially considering that he's got spears to guard against the limited knights. What could make the difference really is Jeanne, especially considering Jeanne can dive into a wall lull and not care. Jeanne cannot be converted. So if you see your opponent goes for a wall lull to defend himself, don't rear off with Jeanne. Just stand there and beat the crap out of him. It is quite frustrating when you're like, oh yeah, the wall lull protect. Wait, what? No, funnily enough, you cannot convince the person that runs the faction that they should leave the faction. It's going to be so much XP. It's like you just really don't want to be taking these fights. And Jeanne wants them as well because she's maxed out on cleaves, right? So perfect time for it. Interesting that Numidan never added in a blacksmith. I imagine we'll be getting one soon. It's very weird to see someone this deep into, I say this deep, but like 2 or 3 minutes in a castle age without it, just because you get the double melee tech upgrade for free. Even more important when you're playing the Jeanne variant of the Civ, just because this unit wants every bit of melee damage it can get, especially with that dark speed. Dimmu gets the tech up out. Charge coming through for the Knights. Nice good wall up there. Much towards the base here. Perfect time. If you're not careful, Dimmu, he might lose his first prelate. I think there's a bit of hesitation from Numidan to dive this area with the arrow slits in placement. However, if he just parks himself right, he can at least deny the mid-map relics. And remember, Numidan did play into those priests now. So we could quickly be looking at a 4-relic game for the Jeanne. I like how I call it the Jeanne. In fairness, there is only one in this situation. Also, just more pocket economies coming out. Just a good read, man. I've been really impressed with Numidan's approach to this expansion, actually. We've watched a lot of his games earlier on in the first few weeks of the Sultan's Ascend. I think he's looking really good. This game also looks phenomenally fantastic. Words today for him. I think that this Civ would be favored in this matchup a little bit. Maybe that changes with time as people figure out the builds, but right now, Dimmu is kind of a very uncomfortable map to play out onto. Even more so when you see your opponents going archers and your solution, is to go into crossbows. Crossbows that are not going to win out against mass archers. Is he going to get this? Oh, he actually might guard this relic, but also kill off some villagers. That's kind of tricky here, actually. Oh, man, the timing could not be worse for Numidan. A bit greedy here. Weird that he's still postured in the center, but he'll at least mirror and take out this prelate up here. So this still looks like it should be a free relic game. But this relic over here should at least be secure for purple. A nice breakaway. Numidan retreats to the villagers just in time. If he's quick, he actually could cut off this prelate. If he peels the knights and just goes, and I think that's exactly what's going to happen here. And then you just send Jeanne after the main force, because Jeanne will beat these guys down. Need to be a bit careful around the Gilded Crossbowmen. Remember, these Gilded Crossbowmen still do full damage right now. Jeanne is only level 2. She needs to reach level 3 to get that 50% reduction. Right now, there's quite a few crossbowmen. 3 Gilded Crossbowmen with this many spears, these knights can't do anything. They can die if they misclick like this. Whoop, 1 instantly gone. It's really annoying with this Gilded Crossbowman due to the extra range as well, so they can easily just reach in and grab you. Jeanne, charging forward. Need to be careful. Oh my god. She almost got 2 hit by 3 Gilded Crossbowmen. Yeah, show this unit some respect, folks. Good god. They may have a really stupid looking hat, but they hit damn hard. Good lord. So second relic coming in. So still better for Dumu, right? Like, it's annoying because your Regnants isn't giving the full value and, that, like, you know, you prefer to have 3 in the situation. But it's still a lead for him over Numidan. It's going to be 160 resources compared to 240 by default. But then the Regnants doubles what you get. So it's 320 for the Order Dragon versus 240 for Jeanne D'Arc. Still, the other thing that's going to add up now for Numidan, Sacred Site's being capped. A little bit surprised he is not using Jeanne. Like, I don't get what this... I've seen this so often, and I'm wondering if I was to put out, like, a questionnaire asking the pros, can Jeanne, like, true or false is right, and you just sneak Jeanne D'Arc in there capturing Sacred Sites, I'm wondering how many would give false, because it's kind of weird watching this. Like, you could be really efficient about this, where you would leave it until the final tick of the cap, and then have Jeanne D'Arc capture it, but quite often, we're seeing these choices being made instead. A poor one, because Jeanne just went down, he has to buy her back straight away, and now she has to fight into an army of 8 Gilded Crossbowmen, which, by the way, is enough crossbowmen to instantly kill her. Good luck with that. Oh, man, that's unfortunate as well, because I'm wondering if he's just like 100 XP away, missing out on 50 XP here, 50 XP here, that could have just been the difference maker. Now, Dumu, a very strong point in this game. Switching to Gilded Arch as well. Love this detail. Just going full ranged right now. He realizes his opponent doesn't have the ability to gap close. Gilded Crossbowmen, by the way, can actually be out archers if they keep distance. A 6-star range versus 5. It only becomes a problem when you let them gap close like this. That's when it's a bad trade. It's a good micro by Numidan to gap close on him. Remember, it's 1.25 movement speed compared to 1.12. But great formation shuffling there by Dumu, using the units further away to drag his crossbows quicker. Temporary reset here. We must be getting closer to the organic timing of level 3 Jeanne. There you go. She's upgraded. She can commit now. This would be the time to go. And it is going to be the Jeanne's Riders. A great read in this game. Jeanne's Riders that do get extra damage up against crossbows, folks. That's what makes them super sick here. Crossbows that Dumu was heavily reliant on in this comp. And his front line is just already gone. It's going to be a charge forward. The timing attack by Numidan there baits his opponent just far enough out. And now Dumu wasting every shot possible just to try and get through whatever he can. However, now targeting down Jeanne may be a mistake. Cleave's going to come in big here if he bothers to use it. Heavy damage coming back towards her, but she gets out of range just in time. She tanks long enough that he comes out the tail end of this fight looking magnificent. And Archers now just need to clear up as many crossbows as possible. Gilded Archers as well, because now they are facing off against the Men-at-Arms. That's where the Arbitrary switch is going to be coming in. Numidan on the tail end of this is still sniping out Men-at-Arms with Jeanne on the south side, but Gilded Archers is now going to force him to reset and run. Nonetheless, a good fight for Numidan. Behind this, he continues to build his eco lead. He's got that Guild Hall to rely on soon. He's been gathering a lot of resources, almost 2,000 food in reserve now. If he wants, he could actually just go for Imperial Age. It would be a bit dangerous, so I imagine he tries to win one more fight, but definitely is hoarding a lot of gold right now. A lot of limited food still to work with. Placed north side. Just a great read by Numidan. Right now, he's the only person threatening cavalry, so he's the only person who gets to play wide map. Dumu can't run up there. If he sends anything up there, it's going to be removed from this engagement, and that could just be the difference. Jeanne, looking to get involved. Divine Restoration coming off cooldown 20 seconds. Nice min-maxing on the cleave, right? Just not getting close enough so you get clubbed once here. It's good micro. Arbitrary also chasing, so these armored boys not lasting long enough. Even the Golden Cuirass, it just feels like the front lining is starting to fall apart for them. And now more cleaves coming in. Divine Restoration about to come off cooldown. Baits the Men-at-Arms out of position again. Arbitrary still just not being sniped out. Dimu able to get away, heavily damaged. Now, this is where getting prelates is very valuable as the Order of the Dragon, as well as Inspired Warriors. I think that could be a real big deal breaker in these fights in favor of Dimu. But so far, he's choosing to just prioritize the blacksmith upgrades. On the other side of this, though, Numidan, if he just pulls the resources now, this is Imperial. And the funny part, this is kind of what makes Guildhall a bit crazy, is that realistically, he hasn't sacrificed his game state existence by going for this tech up, if that makes sense, right? Because he's been passively just escalating this gold count up to 3,000. And he's been affording the army at an equal pace to Dimu with his existing economy. Now, if he wants, he could just basically pull out what he needs for a tech up because of his landmark alone. And it wouldn't have hurt his ability to push equal units in the meantime. And that's exactly what he's going to do. Pulls the food out, goes straight for the red pass, and an interesting position that I was not expecting. He puts it all the far side north to guard the fat stack of gold as well as the berries nearby. A pretty cool read here, actually. He's just forcing Dimu's hand because he knows Dimu will eventually need more gold. Right? The comp that Dimu is going for is not gold cheap. Men at arms as well as gilded archers, a very big premium. 80 gold for the crossbows, rather, and then 40 gold for the men at arms. And if you ever want to go Langsneck, good luck. Instead, though, he's going to go Knights. That's an even bigger price than the gold. Dimu has got to be running shy, right? 70k. Okay, he's got 3k left here because he had the 4k on the front there that he already exhausted. But now Dimu's playing an age behind. So he needs to think, is it time to go or is it time to tech? It looks like it might be time to go. I think he just wants to try and force a clash. I mean, he doesn't get as much out of Imp because his eco is already 90 big. So this idea of Pulse Swabia to really bolster your economy, like the normal HRE, doesn't really fit the plan anymore. It's similar to those multi-TC HRE builds where if you go Imperial Age and you're already at like 100 plus villages, might just be better off going for the Elsback. So that's also locked in, so just a small distraction for Dimu to have to worry about as he dives in towards the main base. Numidan rushing on the stone here. Not going to be enough for a keep drop at this pace, though, and it looks like it is targeted towards the stone outcroppings. Understanding Dimu says right now, if you want to try to defend, it's going to be off the back of a castle, and I simply can't allow that. Palace of Swabia is being built up behind this, so it still feels like there's enough room and wiggle room to get the extra eco. Dive now comes through, but remember, that's Arbalest placements. They hit insanely hard. Choke point fight here. Mass crossbows just to be able to fight out against the men-at-arms favorably. And now there's going to be a wraparound from the horsemen on the backside, on the crossbows, onto the archers. Start step back from Dimu. He realizes he overextends here. The men-at-arms now just hitting into Jeanne, but not quick enough. Divine Restoration comes out. It's going to be a pushback, a bite back here. And a force to retreat. Now behind this, Dimu's getting his age up at least. That's the plus side. Jeanne is going to be going down. Buyback comes out from her instantly because she's getting so much XP out of this fight. In fact, at the end of this, she might be level 4. In fact, I think she will get level 4 off this. The crossbows have nowhere to run anymore. They're going to get chased down. Jeanne dives in again, a bit too ambitiously. But great bait there and a pullback just in time. Numidan does stay alive, but not microing her accordingly. So it looks like it is not going to be level 4. It's at least going to be a cleanup on the crossbows. Now, upgrade has been queued for them. There's no easy way they can fight here. Men-at-arms just quickly gap closing. The archers really are the deal breaker behind this. So great hold by Numidan. But Dimu does get his tech up behind. He does now have the Pulse of Swabia to escalate his own economy. He could be at 140 eco ahead of Numidan. I imagine he doesn't want to go that high, though. Typically, with the Order of the Dragon, I feel like they feel most efficient around 110, 120 because they have that extra 25% gathering rate to their base, right? And remember, you scale that off of base into like eco upgrades. It's even better for the Order of the Dragon. Right now, it's just a rush for gold, isn't it? Because I think that's the limiting factor. Now the Imperial Age has been reached by both players, it's all about getting into these university techs. Actually, for Numidan, it's more important that he gets all of his crossbow upgrades. We've got stirrups coming in, the Gamsons as well. The Horseman transition coming from Dimu. An interesting choice here, but funnily enough, Numidan seems to have read it. It makes sense as well that Numidan would know this is coming, considering that he already saw his opponent had built knights. So you want to have Spearman as a counter to that anyway. Which means he's already going to be prepped for the issue. Horsemen are just going to try to wrap deeper. Might be able to find some villages here. The problem is they do hit so bloody hard, but Dimu not quick enough to react, just keeps chasing back. TC being rushed up here. Numidan realizing maybe that's a bit too overzealous. And actually, Dimu gets baited into the fight. So Horseman heavily damaged. And now with the Arbalest placements, Not sure if you're going to be threatening enough here. I mean, credit to the Order of the Dragon, actually. Because they're so tanky, they can actually last longer underneath Arbalest Fire. It does just feel like a matter of time before you're going to flop. And Wall's now also going up, so both players trying to wall the same area. Remember, something that Dumu still doesn't know about is this north side, where he's just lost out on 8,000 worth of gold long term. That is something we need to be conscious of here, because that is going to hurt his late game potential here on a Civ that needs gold. This is pretty good, actually, by Dumu. Just 4 horsemen baiting Jeanne off like this means he can take a big fight. And I think he's going to be looking for it soon, right? Like, the only thing that needs to be upgraded, really, is the men-at-arms. Need to be a bit careful, because the thing with men-at-arms right now is Golden Cuirass is a bit bugged in that if you upgrade any existing units in the field, any existing men-at-arms will lose the Golden Cuirass buff. So maybe he just wants to throw these ones away first. The lack of walls is really actually screwing Numidan right now. Dumu's doing a really good job of splitting the map. Like, you can see how desperate Numidan is for that stage 5. With this many crossbows up the trio, I don't blame him. He's just not able to easily get it. It's also quite interesting, this matchup between the Gilded Crossbowmen and the Arbor Trio. Arbor Trio fare really well due to the fact they have the Pavis. Problem is, you do have to get close enough, right? Like, that's the edge, is if the Gilded Crossbowmen start stepping back, Pavis becomes worthless. So I'm wondering, Numidan, it looks like he's relying on horsemen, but maybe mangoes could be a good shout here as well. I usually don't recommend mangoes just because crossbowmen are just so insanely tanky. And they also do have that extra damage against siege. So probably just wants to stick horse just simply because he'll have royal bloodlines eventually. And that is a very big edge for the French faction in the late game. Slow crawling continues though. That means that Dumu is getting towards those elite army tactics. We are now also getting the cannon emplacements. Funnily enough, the cannon emplacement came out of Numidan, though. Uh-oh. Does Dumu know? Is he trying to move for it right now? Because he might get baited by this, the way the engagement's going. Does pull away. Luckily for him, the gold has ran out, or that would have been an absolute massacre. Losing these villages is not an easy price to pay. They take longer to produce, even out of the Pass of Swabia, remember. About 8 seconds compared to, I believe it's usually 5 for the, or 6 maybe, for the HRE. Really close game, actually, right now. I can't clearly tell you who's going to win this, but that's the way I love it. Okay, I've decided. Level 4 Jeanne's out. It's party time, boys. Valorous Inspiration is Gatling gun mode. Oh my, Dumu, you need to move away from this fight fast. That is a massacre. That attack speed buff is insane. You want to fight? Okay. Every day of the week, he says, tips the hat and charges forward here. He's also got the riders and the cannon available, so imagine he's saving that for when he gets close to the base. Chase down continues here. Second wave coming in now for Dumu to stabilize. Hasn't got much food in reserve, though, so this gets very pricey very fast. Now, there's no attack speed juicer for another 40 seconds, but Numidan, he can afford to wait. Good God. That was scary. Dumu, he keeps the crossbows alive. That's the important detail here. But keep in mind that attack speed buffer works for everything. So if he gets a bunch of these horsemen together and goes for a flank rider, gets that juicer out, that attack speed aura, this number can just disappear instantly. It's that simple. Jeanne goes down, though. Overextension by Numidan. Needs to be careful, actually, now, because this is a bad position to find himself in, because this Gilded Crossbowman will destroy you. Not even dropping the Visas either. It looks like more spearmen are going to come in. Pavisa's finally been dropped there, so minimizing the losses on the back line. The spears will clear up the horsemen, so just keeping the pressure going, because behind this Numidan... Oh my God, no. The timing for this, for Dumu, and he's going to realize it. Wrong place, wrong time. Castle goes up, forced to offer the stone, and he only gets 100 stone out of it. And he needed that, folks. He needs the cannon placements, and he needs them fast. He's going to get a few out here. Also, keep in mind that Jeanne's on her way back here. And Jeanne, she can spawn a cannon, which can start deleting these buildings. Oy, oy, oy. This is a tough one. I think Numidan is starting to edge it out, though. I'd love to see some production buildings on the front side, but this is one of the negatives I think you do face with Jeanne D'Arc, is because you consecrate your buildings, you want to use them for active production, but because they're all the way at home, you don't get as much efficiency out of them when you're pushing like this. He's definitely getting a lot of efficiency out of this area of the map. The amount of stone here is going to be insane. There's a world in which we just start seeing a keep crawl. And when your answer is Trebs, it doesn't feel good, folks, but He doesn't want to risk getting too close to the cannons. I don't think he can afford the cannons. That's actually the bigger issue. Remember, this is a game where Dumu does not have gold. He ran out. Like, he's already drained it all, which is why I was surprised by the hand cannoneer choice. But I think he wanted to very slowly scale that army. Might not get a chance. Numidan, he does actually have Valorous Inspiration, so this would be the time to go use it right now. Shuffle forward. Gonna get in range. And he's gonna spawn the cannon. So cannon comes out. This should be the attack speed juicer coming in just a second here. And there we go. He screams loud and proud and moves out of range of the crossbows just in time. So now his crossbows can look to gap close here. Good trades coming out for Numidan. Cannon, in the meantime, not sure really what it wants to target. It's finally going to go after trebuchets. And will be a retreat away by Jeanne just in time on low HP here. But the numbers for Dumu are down. And remember, these crossbows, he cannot afford to replace them. So heavy losses, he cannot fix for. And also, now having to go archers up against Arbitraire, not a great exchange, remember. The Pavisas make these good exchanges for the the Arbitraire, rather. And also, keep in mind that if you do not have crossbows anymore, Jeanne's going to start diving and cleaving. That's actually been the thing that's been keeping Dumu alive, is so far Jeanne hasn't been able to do that because the crossbows kill her so fast. That's starting to turn. New wave on the way, Numidan just going to reset. Remember, right now, these numbers are neck and neck when you look at the top number, but fight-wise, it's favoring Dumu because Numidan has to run reinforcements across the map, right? But like, that's why I was saying, if we start seeing some production buildings added in this area, this starts to snowball fast. Treb did survive throughout that, so Keep is going to just continue to be hit onto here. Villagers did accidentally pile inside the castle, so that seemed like a misclick. You just want to get the repairs out. North side, we are seeing stone walls go up, so understanding that Dumu still has the potential to go into horsemen, Numidan's now going to skewer the flanks. He's also prepping for the companion equipment. Might we be actively seeing the companions come out? That's a super sick read if so. Jeanne's elite riders here, I mean, they're not going to get as much value as they would have earlier because of crossbows, but even against the archers is worthwhile. Flashing the tree line. Jeanne moving forward. And there's the juicer again. The Gatling gun mode, good lord. Attacking every 1.37 seconds. They attack as quickly as archers right now. Crossbow stirrups plus inspiration is actually nuts in the late game. I think this is going to be a very popular meta choice for Jeanne, and I think we might see the breaking of Dumu here. Military numbers getting a bit lower. Gold is really struggling to keep up. I'm surprised. I want to give him a lot of credit for this. I'm surprised he's kept as many of these crossbowmen coming out as he has. It's not easy with his economy the way it is. 319 gold a minute, and that is it. However, if Numidan just starts getting a bit siege in here, starts taking out these outposts, things are going to snowball. You can see it in the reserves as well. Like, this is on the ropes right now for Order of the Dragon. They've got wood to work with, they've got food, sure, even a decent amount of stone, but it really is gold that's going to be the backbreaker here. Numidan just sitting on a bank and a half. In fact, in his own little bank, he's got almost 5,000 gold in reserve. So Numidan, very kushki in this game. Valorous Inspiration coming off cooldown in 5 seconds. He looks for another clash. Spearman immediately pinched on the front side of this fight. Jeanne, ready to buff the army. Gonna get the cleaves on the flank. Really needs to just activate that scream, and there it is. Comes out. Extra attack speed just to mince the front line, and Numidan, can he gap close this? I mean, the cannon really is the thing that's still missing. Just feels like he's headbutting a wall at this stage. Luckily, that goes both ways, right? So there's no trade out here where Dumu's like, okay, now I can dive and feel good about it. Any attempt to is just going to get him annihilated as well. Numidan understands it perfectly. Dumu just being very delicate with his crossbows, right? Never overextending them. They really are the thing that's keeping the tide back. These cannons added in. I mean, there's going to be another one here. So if he just double summons cannons, that's when these outposts start to fall. And so far, they really have been clutch, right? Even the Springwood placement adding a lot of damage in. It's not a cannon, sure. But against these Arbitraire, it's a substantial increase in damage output for these fights. It's basically like having an extra crossbow. Oh, extra 4 crossbows for these 2 towers. Those going to come out. Cannons now trying to snipe. Cannonball emplacements also assisting to get through the front line. And Sacred Sites now locked in. So Numidan has a new way of winning. Jeanne's elite riders now also starting to come out. Just tanking a lot of fire. Remember, these units have an insane amount of ranged armor. 10 ranged armor in total at this stage of the game. Means these crossbows do practically nothing. I say practically nothing. Over a third, their damage is gone. So it kind of feels like it. So the keep is going to be set fire, but remember, Numidan, plenty of stone to work with in this area. One of these outposts has been taken out, so crossbows are going to have to work a lot harder to protect these trebuchets now. Cannons continue to retreat, though. Numidan looking a little bit weak right now. Once again, suffering from the long distances numbers have to run to get to these fights. Shows you just how powerful that Zeal is in this late game, though. It really has been this clutch thing. The Valorous Inspiration, that 35% attack speed increase, been doing wonders. And now, diving to the backside, very gluttonous, but able to get away with it as he understands the crossbow count is getting too low for Dumu. I think this is where the Trebs should start to be sniped out. I mean, the cannons wheel up. Dumu getting the lowest he's been. I actually just can't see a way anymore. I think Dumu's done a really good job to try and keep this close, but it just feels like he can't get enough troops together. Even with 4,000 food income, it just feels like there's not enough there. Like, imagine if Dumu had one more gold pit, and he was able to get into 5 or 6 hand cannoneers, or scale the crossbows consistently. I think this game would be really scary for Numidan. But credit to Numidan, man. He played that map wide. That Red Palace, even securing that 8k gold, is what has led to this eventual late game outcome. And now it looks like he's ready to move on in and start claiming his trophy. Dumu, he slows down. If he's going to make this work, he needs all hands on deck. Credit to him. One thing for the Order of the Dragon at this stage of the game, they can go bigger on the military pop count. Notice I said pop count because when it comes to raw numbers, not as great, which is why it's really important you find this delicate balance. I think that's the biggest challenge people are having at Order of the Dragon at the moment is how many of each unit is right. Because it feels like it should be enough when you think of it as a population perspective, but then we realize it's just 3 horsemen. It's pretty irrelevant. Castle on the front side here. Numidan, fourth in the matter. And the tanking damage from Jeanne. She holds on so long. She still has the Divine Restoration. She's going to pop it now. Castle is going to be cancelled for the time being. As Numidan is going to look to reset and go maybe a bit deeper here. It's going to be an outpost crawl instead. Cannons also sniping out the crossbows now. Enough of these elite horsemen just to push back against this. And once again, Dumu's head down in the mud. Military about double now for Numidan. And this looks all but over. Sacred Site still ticking down. No easy access either. We've got cannon emplacements on the flank from Numidan. A great read there. Dumu, we're at that point where it's about to leak into his economy. And he can't afford that now. He just doesn't have the reserves to take that type of bludgeoning. Cannons have at least overextended, so Numidan is going to retreat. These horsemen, they can't even get their targets. How does he keep getting away with this? 40 HP, come on. Someone stick a bullet in the head already. Poor Dim is just saying, well, I would stick a bullet in the head, KP, but I kind of need gold for that. Oh my god, how? Numidan is like that kid that just touches a hot iron to wonder, because they're like, oh, I wonder if that's hot. Then they get burned, and it's almost like they got short-term memory loss. And like, oh, I wonder if that iron's hot. Right now, the only thing that looks hot is Numidan takes a well-earned victory against one of the absolute top players when it comes to pub matchmaking. I'm telling you, folks, Numidan is a name to watch in 2024. I know it got set for 2023, but he kind of disappeared. But now that there's an expansion, now that there's a lot of freshness on the scene, I love to see this refresh in terms of players competing. I'm looking forward to seeing if Numidan is going to be starting to make some deep runs in 2024. I've definitely been impressed with his early days performance on this expansion. Let me know what you all think in the comments, though. I think Numidan is definitely going to be one to watch, more so than any previous time that his name was given credence. Maybe return just in time for another road to Red Bull Wallaloo.